become not sure if I'm for or against this, even as a member of the ministry. But what I do want to express is that I think has been previously stated, the majority of our community are religious. The majority are Christian. I know many members of this council are Christians by faith. I know the majority of this community, probably the majority of people in this room, are Christians. And while I understand the chamber and the council's desire for economic growth in Greenwood, and I support that. Love to see Greenwood grow. I love it here, but I also love what was just mentioned, that familyness, that small town feel. And I'm as guilty as anyone, because when I leave church after preaching on Sunday, where do I go? I got to eat. As many of you do. And somebody had to miss church to prepare that food and to wash my dishes. And I honestly tell you, I feel guilty sometimes about that. I grew up in a time when my mom had to cook my meal on Sunday because nothing was open. And I understand we need gas stations open to travel, and we need to be able to buy food. But there are a lot of services that aren't essential. And we shouldn't legislate morality. But what we should do, we open this meeting tonight with a prayer to God. We claim ourselves as Christians. We say we put God first. And then the Bible tells us if we honor that He will bless us. He will bless our people and our community. And yet we turn our back on that very sovereignty when we vote because we're more concerned about the economic impact. And I understand our fear. I share that fear. And that's why I stand here uncertain.
In an article that I had written in this journal, so I don't want to be repetitious about some of the things that I've seen. But I will make mention of a couple of things. I noticed that in this journal gave a very persuasive argument as to why these laws are being rescinded. I thought they did a very good job. I disagree with their conclusion. I think it's flawed, and I think it doesn't take into account the historical context of the new laws. I think that's what's really missing in this equation. And let me just assure you, County Council, I noticed the Index Journal made this comment that you would suffer the wrath of the Christian community if you did suspend these laws. Well, I don't have a gun, and I don't plan on hurting you. But I do think that we can disagree in a civil way without demonizing the opposition. Will have a certain moral content to it. So whether we realize it or not, all laws regulate morality as far as I'm concerned, because they all have a moral content to them. Now, we may disagree about that, that's fine. But I would just mention this too, that it's not so much about legislating morality as it is you have to consider, we're also talking about behavior. No, I may not be able to make you do right in your heart by passing a law, but the laws that I pass should at least affect or cause you to think about your behavior. I think Dr. Martin Luther King even mentioned that. There are a lot of people who wanted to continue to have slavery. They were against civil rights. And things didn't change until somebody passed a law. A law will affect, it affects your behavior and it affects your attitude. That's why I'm concerned about the suspension of these laws, because it affects the attitude and in many cases the behavior of the people of Greenwood, South Carolina. And I don't think it'll be in a positive way. As a matter of fact, I think it'll be in an adverse way. So it's not so much about the legislating of morality as it is about maybe trying to affect the behavior of people. Where they would understand that, yes, and there's no doubt, I do agree with the Index Journal, this law, it has had Christian underpinnings. And there's no way to separate that. But I personally don't think that's a problem. And I'll say this, I don't want to be lengthy here, but I'm almost tired of our country and in this case, our county apologizing for being Christians.
Amen.
I don't see the Jews apologizing in Israel for being Jews. I don't see the Muslims in Saudi Arabia apologizing for being Muslims. But there seems to be a vocal minority of people in this country who want to divorce our country of its Christian roots. I think it needs to stop. And I don't think we ought to apologize for being Christians.
Amen.
And I don't think anything wrong with it being the majority opinion. And even though the Index Journal doesn't feel that you all ought to have any, it ought not to matter to you that the majority of the people in the community are in favor of blue laws, I would submit to you, you ought to consider that it does matter to the majority.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council, thank you for this opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Tricia Craver, and I live at 122 Amherst Drive. I'm also chairwoman of the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. As the largest single representative of businesses in Greenwood County, we have a responsibility to be their voice on issues that relate directly to their success or failure. We are here tonight to stand in support of the ordinance to repeal the blue laws that restrict the sale of certain items, but only in certain stores before 1:30 p.m. on Sundays. The Chamber's Board of Directors, by majority vote in 2008, endorsed the repeal of the blue laws in Greenwood County. Recently, respondents to an electronic survey conducted by the Chamber voted overwhelmingly, 74 to 26%, in favor of elimination of the blue law statutes in Greenwood County. Our position is that blue laws inhibit new business in Greenwood County, especially retail ventures, and in their current form are ambiguous and difficult to understand.
Greenwood. I'm here tonight to ask the members of County Council to vote in favor of the ordinance repealing the blue law statutes that restrict retail sales on Sunday in Greenwood County. As a property manager of the largest retail shopping facility in Greenwood, I can attest to the negative impact these outdated laws have had on the law owners' efforts to attract popular national chains to this market. As you no doubt are aware, we recently converted a large portion of our retail space to non-retail use. While we are ecstatic to have such a progressive, growing firm as part of our family, we are aware that we also have available spaces that could be filled by more retail businesses. Passing this ordinance would be a huge step in that direction. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that a large national discount retail enterprise up the road is already open on Sunday well before 1:30 p.m. While it's true that a large section of the store is roped off, the fact of the matter is the customers who can time their grocery shopping to coincide with the opening of the rest of the store at 1:30 p.m. Also, diagonally across the street from the mall is the National Pharmacy, open for business well before 1:30 p.m. and selling many of the items restricted at the large discount retailer of the road.
Motion is there a second? Motion is second. Any discussion?